Everybody. I don't know if that glitched for you, but it sure looked like it glitched to me.
That was all good for me. Didn't do anything.
It like paused and then it went and fast forward. Oh, well. It's all good. How you guys doing?
Good.
I see Nolan here. We got Nolan. We got Michael. You got your screen already sharing. Awesome. I'm going to be working on some cards for my son's card game that I have been putting off forever. And he has like a science fair, and I think we're going to try to do his card game for the science fair. So I'm like, okay, there's some pressure now. Got to get it done.
It's going to look all legit.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Like let's see if I can show you. So like this is one of the cards.
Oh, nice.
So it's cars and then weapons, and they each have a number. You have to you draw them and add them up, and then there's an environment card that you're both playing, or that everyone's playing against, and the environments affect the cars and weapons depending on what color they are.
Nice.
So it's pretty fun. He created it a long time ago actually, and I thought it was so good that I was like, yeah, I'll help you make it. And then it's just like so much work making these.
Yeah. Looks great though.
Yeah, it's fun.
He must be excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he still is. He seems to be, because I've been delaying so long. So I'll make a little bit of progress and then I'll stop and then print cards, with what we've done so far, and then make a little bit more progress. And so, but every time he pulls it out, it's kind of like, 6 months later, and he forgot about everything, and he's like, oh, these are awesome.
Yeah.
Now we need to finish it. Can you add 15 more cars? And I'm like, no, I'm not adding anything to it.
Does he say thank you?
No, but I know he's appreciative of it.
I'm trying to train my son to get in the habit of saying thank you every time he gets
anything. Yeah.
We're giving him. We went out for some dessert, and then we just give it to him, and he just starts munching on it right away. And it's like,
yeah.
What you say, Mergu.
Yeah.
Of course, he's 3, so it takes a little bit.
Yeah, they're pretty appreciative, and they're pretty polite too. I think we've been hounding him on it long enough. He's 11 now, so every now and then he'll say things that are like out of the blue, and I'm like, wow, that was really nice. Or he'll help his little brother, or, I don't know. But, it's hard to be like that kid who's that way all the time, I think. At least it seems like it. I see Jessica. Welcome, Jessica.
Howdy.
Hello.
All right.
Hello.
Hello, fellow sort of Washingtonian.
By association? Yeah, we'll go with that.
Without the smoke.
Oh, how is it right now?
It's not too bad. It looks like it's a foggy morning, and there's a slight toastiness to the air, but it's gotten better over the last couple of days, but it's supposed to get really good probably on Friday, but on last Saturday was pretty horrendous.
Yeah, I've been talking to family back there, and it's just so unreal. Like, this has never been anything like that growing up. So, shoot. Oh, stay indoors.
I mean, I would take it. I would take wildfires that are sort of close to me, but like, would I take that over hurricanes? I'd probably take the fires for a little bit, because we're only like about a week. But
yeah,
I'm living in Western Washington, which is a little less fire prone than Eastern Washington.
Yeah, well, and the Cascades kind of keep that contained. But if it comes up from the south or the north, then it's kind of like, well, you'll get some smoke anyways.
Yeah. My family's in Portland, and it's like they're just right by the. They're just sitting right next to the chimney.
Oh no.
Pretty bad over there.
Yeah.
Well, you're not getting it, Jason, are you?
Oh yeah, we're getting a lot of smoke. It's still smoky right now, but
Oh,
some
yeah.
days it's just really bad, and it's because of wind just blowing it in from different angles. But it's not horrible right now.
Okay. It's crazy because I always pride the Pacific Northwest for its great air quality. So right now it's like, come on, wildfires, like, take a break.
I was talking to a friend who just moved up from South Carolina.
Mhm.
And it's like he moved up earlier in the year, so he's getting hit with, he's hit with the pandemic. He's being hit with the forest fires.
Oh gosh.
There's a couple other things too, but then I said, like, well, you just need the 250-year earthquake that we're due. It's like 20 years overdue.
Knock on wood. Yeah, I don't know. I think I still take an earthquake over a hurricane. Congrats, Jason, on passing your
Oh, thank you.
thing.
The thing, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
get that
thank
glow in
you.
the dark cover.
Who was that?
Let's get that glow in the dark cover.
I know that's the part I'm the most excited about.
Mhm.
I think it's just the newest idea, so I'm like, yes.
It's a cool idea, especially it fits the tone of the book.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, I like it.
Were you purposely trying to? Like, this is not going to get fulfilled by Halloween, right?
No way. I'm gonna have the campaign even running through Halloween for the Kickstarter version of it.
Oh, right.
So, yep, no chance. It's gonna be since everything's always up in the air this whole year. I put the date for like February of next year just because I'm using a new printer. I've never printed in the States. It should go faster, but I just don't know like what the situation will be like at that time. So I've just kind of like given myself plenty of time as far as what date I said.
So
Do
who's
you
drawing?
mind if I? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just asking who's drawing right now.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, kind of out of the normal world that I usually draw in. I'm working on a card game that my son came up with, and
That's great.
I've shown it to guys before. Let's see. So, like, here's an example of one of the cards. So, it's fun. I've just been putting it off for so long that he has a science fair and he wants to enter this into the science fair as his invention, and so I'm trying to help him finish it.
That's really cool. Excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Is this the most expensive kids project that you had to do for your boys for school?
Pretty much. I'll charge him though, in accrue interest as well. Poor kid. He's gonna be like, Dad. He'll be like 30. Dad, I don't owe you anymore for that.
He
No,
finds out
I
Kickstarter.
really love the idea of him doing a Kickstarter and making a product that he invented because he's very inventive, and I want to kind of help him to see that how to do it. and then fulfill it. So the what is it? The science fair thing was kind of just added on recently, but the initial idea was that I wanted to help him do a little Kickstarter. That's his own thing that he can sell and he can fulfill, so he can get that real world experience. And I thought it was a good enough idea because we've been testing the game for quite a while now, and it actually is really fun, and like little kids can play it, and it's good for like math and all that stuff, and yet it's fun. So I figure, hey, this is a good opportunity.
Jason, have you ever thought about doing like a card game or a board game or something like that on your own?
Not really. I never did a lot of games. Like growing up, games were not like board games were kind of cool, but I was more into video games, and so video games were more of a thing that I wanted to always try to do, And I actually did make some when I was younger on like the Commodore 64 and stuff like that, but never this kind of thing.
I've been doing a bunch of reading right now on BackerKit and Kickstarter and all that, and I was trying to see like I saw a big section for like board games, and I'm kind of coming at this as a novice, and it feel like a fuddy dud when I'm reading about all this. I'm like, wow, board games are really prolific on Kickstarter or any of these other crowdfunding platforms, and I feel like I'm starting to feel like the generational gap between parents and what the cool kids are doing.
Yeah.
What, you mean board games?
Just what's ever trending or popular right now. I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop. I feel like, even though I won't say I'm that old, but
yeah, I don't know if I've ever really been in the loop, like with anything I've made. I'm always on kind of the outskirts of like my own interest. I'm like trying to force like an obscure idea into the mainstream. My problem.
Oh, you're in good company.
Yeah. Which I like that idea better of not following the trends, but it doesn't mean you can be successful. But I like that idea more than just seeing what's popular and trying to imitate that.
I was going to say it sounds more satisfying that way.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I'm just about 20 years behind the current trends. So what was kind of cool or neat 20 years ago, I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Now it's cool for me. I didn't like it then.
Yeah, maybe it's a combination of that for me too. So I'm trying to push obscure ideas that I would have liked 20 years ago.
But I mean, trends are kind of cyclical, so they might become trendy again.
Yeah.
Trendsetter.
Trendsetter.
Okay.
honestly, I feel like I gravitate towards that, wanting to do less of the trendy stuff, because I frankly I find it pretty exhausting.
Yeah.
And irritating as well, where it's like there may be a certain cause or a certain something, like there's a million types of causes out there. I'm not gonna say which one, but like you can be up in any type of cause, but then it's like it feels like everyone's just so focused on maybe one or two that really dominate the spotlight. But it's like, well, it's like, do people really care about this cause, or are they kind of jumping on it because it's like the popular thing?
Yeah.
Like, it's like
Yeah.
when I see people, when artists drawing certain topics or whatever, it's like, well, are you drawing that because it's the trending tab? It's in the trending tab, or do you actually feel
Oh, yeah.
right?
I think that's a big thing happening nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Like it's following the trends to get the views. I mean, there's a method to it, I guess, method to the madness.
Hmm.
But boy, it's like that's not the reason I fell in love with art, and so it's really hard for me to get into that mentality,
Hmm.
like searching for the trends and then doing what's popping right now.
Yeah. And they don't necessarily have to be good, but they get the attention. And
Yeah.
Just because they're trendy.
Yeah. But I know that works. You know, it's weird. Like I do feel like I think I might want to try doing things kind of like that when I release my next cognitive drawing campaign. And if there's like a really trendy hot artist trending or campaign happening, like do a video doing cognitive drawing with that style,
Hmm.
kind of help people to see, oh, I could use this method on anything, So
Hmm.
that's what my thoughts are anyway. I don't know if I'll be that excited about doing it when the time comes.
I feel like back in 2015, when maybe 2015 or 2014, when social media wasn't quite as was still fairly green to a lot of people, at least the experience is like, well, I think there's a little bit more of that excitement where you're building community or you hit something trending and then it gets popular and then you kind of
Yeah.
you get that attention, and I think that's at first that's pretty exciting, but I think over time
Yeah.
now it's maybe it's because I have more limited time as a parent.
Yeah.
I don't really have time to really engage with it, that I don't.
Yeah, that's
It
true.
makes me feel a little bit more cynical about where I just want to make something that can last or have at least, satisfy me in some ways.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's extremely important because those people will come and go. So if you find that you're chasing the crowds and the trends, and after a while the trend's gone, and you're doing something that you're not really enjoying, what do you have left?
Yeah.
I think for me, as I've gotten older, it's about chasing the crowd that I think would be interested in the thing that I have to offer. So instead of like just random Batman fan art, it would be like, how do I tailor it so that I'm kind of reaching out to people who I might think like what I'm doing, So it's much more strategic than it is like, here's another, Baby Yoda. Unless Baby Yoda lines up with what you're doing.
How dare you diss on Baby Yoda?
I pick on Baby Yoda because he seems to be the hardest for people to get right.
That's true.
Uh,
Hello.
Welcome, Evan.
Oh, hey. Hello.
I didn't
Hello.
see you there. I don't know how long you were looking.
I just popped in, so perfect timing. Everyone needs to draw Baby Yoda, though. I think it's a requirement in 2019, 2020. I mean, I've done mine, so,
just like carnage.
That's a trend I could probably get on board with.
Well, Mandalorian season.
I think it's great if you're actually excited.
if
you're actually excited about the thing that's trending,
Yeah.
then I think it's awesome to do it.
And I am.
Yeah.
Authentically so.
Exactly.
Yeah, Baby Yoda is pretty awesome.
We just saw the trailer for the second season.
Yes. It's awesome.
So excited. No expectations. Just excited.
I wish that robot, the bounty hunter robot, wouldn't have gotten disintegrated at the end.
I know.
Oh,
He's my favorite part.
1911.
Spoiler.
We can
Oh
always
yeah. I guess some people haven't seen it yet. Sorry, everyone.
It's been like a year.
I thought I was the last one to watch it.
It's all a lie. There are no robots in that.
Oh, good call.
But that first episode was so good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Klingons look awesome. I'm just the troll today, like the guy who like goes against everyone. Baby Yoda sucks.
I drew him dying.
Yeah. I drew a grown-up, ugly version. Wait, it's Yoda.
Oh.
I should get it on one of your guys' screens. I've drawn some pretty boring stuff. Oh wait, let me do some. Let me do some housekeeping real quick. I always forget. Hey guys, if you're watching, go check out the Phobos campaign. We just crossed the $25,000 goal, which means it's funded. And now we have some stretch goals that I'm super excited about, which are mainly we're going to start a card deck, which is going to be awesome. And every $1,000 we add to the campaign now, we'll get another card or another feature unlocked. So at 30,000, we have a glow-in-the-dark cover for all the books. So that's super exciting. And I know we're going to hit it. So
That's awesome.
but anyway, help me spread the word if you can. Tweet it or whatever you want to do. Send out letters. However you want to do it. I'd love your help, though. And just so you know, if you hate Indiegogo and want Kickstarter, I'll be launching a Kickstarter next month in October for the same thing. So it'll just be a continuation of this campaign. So there's that. So we have a lot of time to get those stretch goals. And just also a heads up, I will be launching an art contest soon to have art featured in the book, on the what's it called, the in sheets. I'm going to fill the in sheets with guest art. It'll all be black and white. We're going to kind of launch a little social media like Inktober type contest pretty soon, to where just share it, and then I'll pick all the winners and use them for slipcase. Not slipcase, but I always forget the name of it. In-sheet design artwork. So anyway, I'll get your approval too. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to show you. Can I show you guys? I've been working on the cognitive drawing female book, and I got some pages done, which are kind of really good. Can I show you guys? Anyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Very cool.
So I'm trying to blend the photography with sketches more. And so here's one of the page examples of copying over all the neck, where it's just focusing on the collarbones and the necks, and you just have to copy it over, and then there'll be cognitive drawing pages. But anyway, this is one of the first pages where I'm like, yes, finally I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Because the female is so much harder to draw than the male. I think I can just throw down a bunch of lines for a male, and it's like, yeah, he looks ugly just like males do. So anyway, so the female book was really kind of giving me a lot of trouble. But I think I kind of cracked it. So I think this will be the design of how I approach the art in it in a lot of ways. So anyway, there's that.
Cool.
So I'll be sending out an update for cognitive drawing backers. They're going to get 10 pages of the female book free. That was part of the stretch goals. So yeah, so I'm working on that too.
That looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The shading.
Yeah, the shading worked really well. And it's just photography. I mean, it's just from the photograph, so so there's still the form, but you can still focus on the lines itself.
Mhm.
And so I think it's helpful, because if this didn't have the form built into it, it's sometimes it's hard to tell what form you're drawing that line for. So I think this technique solves the problem. And yeah, so I think I'll be able to crank through it. And I got to do a bunch of tutorials, though. That's the hard part.
It's nice to know the shorthand way. Essentially, comicking is almost the shorthand way of rendering logic. So I always like to look at other artists. I mean, I'll look at reference too, but I always like to look at other artists, like how do they portray XYZ or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
So it's always good to see those different examples.
Yeah. And we got Nolan's screen here. What you working on, Nolan?
I'm working on just making a mess. See,
Nice.
blend layers. I'm working on doing some what's the word? Spot art, I guess. I'm trying to do some spot art or just art for some more promotional materials. I was working on this book for a while, and I had to do a big rewrite of it because I sent the book out to friends, and they gave me their critiques, which was very helpful. And I was really debating about whether I needed to do the rewrite because just I was debating about how much I wanted to change the story versus because the intent of it was was a different type of story that I wanted to tell, where it was just like it's more of a gag. But then I thought, well, if I wanted to make it feel like it's more of a children's story, it's gotta. I think there's expectations from parents that that when they open this book, they're not going to think like, oh, it's going to be my weird sense of humor. Weird sense of humor in the very like cartoony violence sense, because I was kind of starting out the story like that. Before I go on to that, I think there was a question that I saw a while back. So Lissy Dixon says, does anyone have a recommendation for a comic printer that accepts RGB files and is not Kablam printing, that experiences with them and looking for alternatives? I can't really answer that because I haven't done comic printing, but I don't know if anyone else wants to chirp in on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know if Zach was here, I think he had a printer that did RGB, used RGB files like Kablam. I can't remember who it was.
I know there's Print Ninja. There's Print Ninja.
That's right.
I just don't know their specs, like what they
Yeah.
take. Yeah, but a lot of people have used them, so you can definitely look into Print Ninja.
Actually, I might have an answer to this question.
Oh.
Maybe. I just have to find the name of it. Let me pull up the tab 1 sec. I found it on Comics Launch. In 1 moment. Comic Impressions, I think. So Comics Launch has been plugging Comic Impressions for a while. I have not checked them out yet, but it sounds like they do. I think they do offset and digital. So, anyways, I don't know if they do RGB, but they very well may. So I'll throw the link in the chat.
Yeah.
And Mr. Welch says, is this going to be full comic size, or will the final book be more manga size like the Patreon books?
Oh, there it is. Yes. It's going to be the size of the Scott Pilgrim Color Edition, which is 6x9. So I really like the size of this, and so that's kind of what I'm going for the book, which is a little bigger. It's a little bigger than the small ones that were for my patrons. Just a little bit bigger. So that's what I'm shooting for.
It's a decent amount bigger.
Yeah, it's enough to kind of show it off a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I still like that small size. And it's interesting over the years as I've had stuff at shows and stuff, conventions, people would just gravitate towards my littler books, or at least most of the like walk by people who would pick it up, who would randomly just pick something up. They would randomly pick up my smaller books, like my Progressions book, which is a little small hardcover. I had a lot of people just pick that up, So I think there's something attractive about the smaller size, not the big old, I got to lug this thing around,
Or it may feel like less of an upfront commitment.
Yeah, it could be too, yeah. I don't know what the main reason is, but I always like the idea of printing Phobos. If I'm going to go thick with it in black and white, I kind of wanted to have it be the size of like the Harry Potter novels, or a little bit bigger than the manga, maybe the larger manga size.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see how it looks and feels. I think it will feel good when it's all printed that size.
Is all your previous Phobos material going to be in there, or is it this completely?
Yeah, it's so everything that I've released through Patreon, that's the first 2/3 of the book, and then there's the pages we're finishing now, which is the last 110 pages. That's the last bit of it. So yeah, it's going to be new to everyone who's not a patron, basically. Because I haven't given that to anyone else. So it should be a whole new experience to new people. Anyway, hopefully.
Cool.
Jason, I think you need to move that comment where I can't see.
Oh, it's still
Jessica,
on.
you have to do your Stormtrooper helmet.
Sorry. Sorry, Nick. Jim says hello. Matthias says hey. Alan says hey, guys.
Howdy.
Hey.
Hello.
Alan kind of is answering that question. Technically, any printer will print RGB files, but the colors will be off from what you see on the screen. They'll have to convert it or something. All right. And here's Jessica's link to Comic Impressions. Thanks for doing that, Jessica.
Yes. Also, there's a promo word for comics launch. Apparently, they will give you 5% off your next order. I don't know if that's still good, but I will just throw it out there just in case.
Great. Okay.
I'll put that out there too. And it sounds like they may still be sending out I can't even think of the word right now, but just like a test packet, so you can send in some images and they can send you various things of how it look.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So check it out.
Helpful.
Mm-hmm. All right. Nolan, I'm sorry, I kind of missed. You said this was a children's book story you're working on. This is different from the Girl and the Panda, or is it related?
The Girl and the Panda had to be put on pause.
Okay.
I actually had to take on a lot of freelance to kind of make up for the thing that happened this year, we all know what we're talking about.
Mhm.
About
Good way of putting it. Yeah.
thing that should not be named. I won't-
Do tell. No, I'm kidding. Just,
You really want to hear it for the umpteenth time? These trying times. Oh, I hate that word. Or I hate that phrase. It's like we've gotten like 50 corporate emails with that same phrase. This is a children's book I started last year, and it was actually a book that I used as a test to work on Pigeon's progress. So
Oh, okay.
when Jason and I were talking about Pigeon's progress, I kind of had this idea like, well, let's try, a different approach. And I was also thinking about this story at the same time, and it's been hidden on the drive for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we had the discussions, I thought I started looking at other children's books like Eric Carle or Leo Leone, like authors I grew up with then. And I also liked a lot of John Clausen stuff too. And so naturally we're talking about him. And so I was just researching some of the artwork. I got a bunch of books from the library. I just looking over each page and just looking at the art and how to create it. And so
Mm-hmm.
part of what I'm doing here is the same process that I did for Pigeon's Progress. And so when I made the book fairly quickly and started to do like test runs for it. And I was planning to launch this in March. And when the stuff all happened, it had to take a back seat to it. And so I was now it's trying to make some progress on it, trying to show it to friends and stuff. And a lot of the reception was pretty mixed. Like some people really loved it. Some people really hated it. Jason's seen the original manuscript, the first version, and let's just say that there's some artillery involved with the story, as you would with any giant monster movie. And so there are some parents who really like that, who grew up with the monster movies and like how it goes into a city and destroys a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some parents are really put off by it, because I think I was telling Jason that when you put something animated like Looney Tunes, and
Mm-hmm.
bear in mind that that's also a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like cartoon violence in animated form gets more readily accepted than, say, if you depict it in the book, because as soon as you put something like that in the book, it suddenly becomes prescriptive. Parents are like, oh, well, this is going to teach kids something, versus like putting them in front of SpongeBob where they're doing a bunch of dumb stuff all the time.
Yeah.
No one really cares about it. Just do a big rewrite. And I just kind of bit the bullet and thought, well, let me make one more good faith attempt at it. And so I redid the book and submitted it to some other friends. And so far, it's been a more positive response for that. And part of it was also because when I wrote the first version of it, it was kind of written with very simple grammar, like as if like a 3-4-year-old could read it.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like I decided just to do the whole rhyming thing, and then that was pretty hard because I was like I'm not very good. I don't think I fancy myself as a really great writer, like in terms of prose and stuff. But I just went through, just did a brute force where I wrote it out. I don't know what the word count is, but it's it reads more like a Dr. Seuss book, and so
Right.
I'm kind of in the middle of still. Like I've gone through about 4 or 5 iterations of it, so I'm just still getting tweaks and suggestions from people to improve upon that. So yeah, so it's kind of been it's taken a lot longer than I thought it would, but I think that it's become a better product because of that. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing more promo images, except with the Baby Yoda here. So yeah, But I want to get back to doing that girl and the panda eventually.
Mhm.
I want to knock this one out first before I move on to the other project.
Yeah, you gotta kind of pick and choose the project that fits your best season where you're at and your time requirements and your energy. So
Yes, definitely.
mhm.
I actually did like a calendar. Well, so part of the freelance I did was to work on a calendar for a bank, and they kind of liked what I did here in terms of this type of style where it's like paper cutout and stuff.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, as I was going through the project, as I was doing some of the comps for them, they drastically shifted the style to basically where it's not even resembles this type of style anymore. So what I had to do is like I had to just tweak it over and over, and it was I mean I got compensated for it, but let's just say that doing it this style is one type of way. I mean requires a certain workflow, but then when you that's different than say like drawing and painting like you would normally, like the way that you would draw. So
Absolutely.
I had to kind of combine the two, and it was like kind of a headache because I have all these layers with all these textures and everything, and it's like it was kind of it took a lot longer than it needed to, I think, but at least I got paid.
Yeah, that's good. Anytime you go in and re-edit something, I mean, it's basically like you're jumping into a thought that's been paused midway for a while, and yeah, it definitely takes a lot more time, brain power.
But that will launch next year, so I will make some announcement about that.
The calendar?
Yeah, because they have to send it to the printer for this year.
Oh, I see. Got
for
it.
next year. So
Yeah.
it takes a while.
All right, Jessica, I'm going to put it on your screen now.
Sweet.
You're doing everything yourself, right, Jessica?
Yep. Better for worse. Oh man. So, I was just working on the title and finding a font. Oh, I was telling my husband about it yesterday, and I'm like, it's so amazing. It's so fascinating how you can just change and tweak a font, and it'll just describe something completely different. I also hate that too, because there's like infinite ways you can go. Oh, I don't know. I'm just glad I'm not a graphic designer.
I actually kind of love that stuff.
I mean, it's cool. Like I love to see the responsiveness of text, but it's also just overwhelming, I guess. I don't have time for this, but it's so cool.
I get overwhelmed with the fonts and like logo text and all that stuff. It's a different world.
It's
What I'm used to or comfortable in.
So I gotta figure that out. But I think I'm finally more on track finding the right look I want, because I'm hoping to use it at least for a while.
Yeah.
Speaking of fonts, you guys might already know this, but Blambot, if you are an independent comic creator, they have a bunch of fonts on there that you can use with they're not going to charge you. You don't get hit with like a a desist if you decide to use it on your comic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's nice.
Well, Nick is doing my fonts. He's like the font genius behind my latest work. And the font he made a couple fonts for Phobos. They're looking so good.
They're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they fit, they belong in that world.
I don't know if I've showed you, Jessica. I was just using the Citra fonts for the most part in everything I've done so far, but Nick actually created new fonts. Here, let me show you guys.
Ooh, yes, please.
Need to find some pages he did real quick.
I would just like to know what are equally worse fonts as Comic Sans. I have a blind spot to fonts too, but I think
Papyrus is amazing.
Papyrus,
Oh, yeah. Pearl.
Wingdings.
Wingdings.
Good one.
Don't hate me. I have a soft spot for Comic Sans. I know not to use it, but it still is like a little pet. This little thing.
A little pet.
Yeah, it's a little bundle of nostalgia.
You're gonna make
What that should be.
What?
you're gonna make Nick nauseous throughout this.
But just remember, when you use Comic Sans, make sure that you have like a white background and make sure that the font is in bright yellow.
I was preferring that all the letters would be a different color.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, especially for your title.
Yeah.
And if you really want to mix it up, do like every other cap.
Yeah, and you need to bump the saturation up as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. See, you could do typography.
Yes. I could do typography like a 6th grader.
Here, this is what Nick came up with for the Phobos font. I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but it has a real kind of old feel to it. And then there's the emphasized font that's a little more italicized.
That looks awesome.
This was used for Citra as well, right?
No, this is a new one.
Ooh.
Oops, I'm doing some weird things on the screen.
Why
Why is it doing that?
Nick-
Let me just open
he
it.
created that font. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick created that. So here you can kind of
There it is. That's really cool.
keep in mind it's not edited yet, so I might have some blatant misspellings here. But I mean, that's so cool that's
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that's great.
so
It has that typewriter-y little slight jitter
yeah,
to
going
it.
through the whole book and just yeah, it definitely has a handheld nature to it. I like it.
It is really cool.
Does this look like a fully automatic spitball gun?
In my experience with fully automatic spitball gun, it's
It
pretty good.
needs more saliva.
More what?
More saliva.
More slime? Yeah.
Just dial it up a bit.
Dial it up.
You could almost make the barrel like one of those bendy straws.
Or lips, like little tiny lips.
That's how you shoot around corners.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
It's just a mouth spitting.
Maybe you should have like a roll of toilet paper at the back, like as a hopper or something. Or
Chunks of partially digested Lunchable.
Okay. Oh man. What was I doing again?
There's a visual. Mm.
Saying if it's Oh, you said line. Never mind. Okay.
Jason, would you feel responsible if some kid actually went out and made a bunch of this stuff, wreaked havoc in his classroom?
Or proud.
Made a fully automatic spitball gun? I'd be proud. That's an invention right there.
I think
Semi-automatic. You gotta
there's
have
a
semi-automatic.
stretch. There's a stretch goal for the Kickstarters, the 3D printer plans for it.
And to market it, you just say blaster instead of gun, and you're good.
Yeah, I don't know. I know it's not going to fly because he's like, and then this one's a sniper rifle. I'm like, that's just. I know you're playing Fortnite a lot, but people aren't going to like that. But I'm just letting him do it the way he wants, and it's all fun. It's a card game, so
You'll be fine.
yeah, it's still a good experience for him to make it.
You're welcome, Nick Welch.
All right, who wants to be on screen? How about you, Michael? Oh wait, Eben. Eben has the Yoda.
I'll just show
Ooh,
my
nice.
real quick.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Funny.
I think it happened. Yeah.
Did you make that?
I did.
Nice. It has that colory, pencil-y tactileness.
Actually, I'm really into these like textured brushes that are all kind of zipatone essentially, but to use them as color tools is kind of interesting to get. It's kind of like Spider-Verse-y kind of texture on stuff.
Photoshop?
Procreate. They have them for Photoshop also. But, yeah. These are True Grit Texture Supply brushes.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
I almost got those when I first loaded up Procreate.
Yeah. No, I really like them. I've been using them a lot.
That's fantastic. I love it.
That is all.
I love it.
Yeah, that's
All right, Michael, you're on screen now.
I am working on marketing stuff today other than that. So,
Marketing, yes.
yes. And app updates. Lots of exciting stuff coming.
Yeah.
I've been missing out on a lot of these streams, and I know there's a few of them I'm trying to catch up on, and I'm trying to find the ones that Evan has like talked about because it feels like every stream someone asks them, "Oh, what's Macroverse?" and then it's like another 20 minutes. But is there like a submission process for artists like who want to feature on the site, or I mean not feature but at least have it, or is it more that Macroverse that you guys search out for the new comics?
It's a combination of the two. So I mean, we're definitely working with a lot of people that are adapting stuff or bringing stuff over, and then also working with people that are making new stuff, and in some cases people that are doing both. So it's, we're pretty flexible about that. I think we do have a process about kind of what we're not really what type of material we're looking for. It's said a bunch of times, it's really about the quality bar. So we're looking for stuff that's really good. And of course that's to a degree subjective, but stuff that we think is really good and that we can kind of help build an audience for and around over time. But then once we're kind of like, yeah, we like this, and the creator is into bringing it over, then we work pretty closely together through the first few episodes typically to get stuff adapted and into our format. And then at this point, we're pretty much off and running with people at that point.
There,
Does that answer your question?
yeah. I mean, is there a like it's more of a quality bar, but does that also refer to like content as well?
Not really. I mean, we like to talk about it in terms of, it's my favorite comparison. If Webtoons is, YouTube for comics, we look at ourselves as HBO for comics. And so, it's not about, if you think about the way HBO programs content, it's not necessarily one type of genre or one type of, piece of material or particular style. It's really just about things that are interesting and compelling and feel different or feel like, they deserve to, to kind of exist in that particular platform. So, so that's kind of the way we think about it. I mean, we'd be equally happy to do something that is incredibly, YA friendly as something that's, much more hard edged. And everything in between. So I mean, we're working on the two big projects that are about to come out. One is this very cool kind of genre mashup horror thing, and then the other one is kind of a straight up kind of sci-fi comedy. So those are the next two big launches. Are wildly different, but also both really cool.
Okay. And like HBO, like, is there a lot of nudity?
Not a bunch of nudity so far.
Like a subversion.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think that we do have sort of an internal filter for, if it can be on premium cable, we're probably okay with it to a degree, but there certainly is a line there. Like, this is not to disparage anyone, but I don't see us bringing, Faust over anytime soon. Or, things that kind of fall into that world. So, I think we are looking at stuff that has some mainstream appeal, even if it's very personal work, which we're, totally happy for as well.
Or 11-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, one of the things we are looking at over the longer term is how to deal with, particular types of age gating and, those sorts of things that for over time, we will want to have more controls about, things that are kind of appropriate for younger kids versus everyone. Mm-hmm. Our way around that at the moment is it's essentially, got to be, it's got to be essentially appropriate for, 13 and up. We're not really doing anything specifically geared towards younger kids, even though there is some content that's on there that is appropriate for younger kids. We're not marketing to younger kids at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that interesting with, like, when I was thinking about Disney's Fantasia the other day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a work of art, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's kind of in a weird place because, like, back then they didn't really have as stringent standards as you would have now. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of good intentions when trying to make sure that platform is okay. It's not you're not gonna have a situation where a kid is browsing something and they come across something very very jarring or very controversial or what have you. Like, I'm a parent, so I kind of understand that now. Like that switch flipped for me as soon as I had my kid. Totally. And, but then when you do that, it's like it kind of introduces a lot of restrictions in terms of the content, right? And I'm not saying it. I'm just saying it as an observation where it's a tricky thing where it's like now that when you have kids involved, there's always this kind of liability that you have that something like Fantasia probably can't get made anymore.
So that's interesting. I'm curious what part of Fantasia I'm just genuinely curious you feel that way about. This total sidebar, but Fantasia is like my kid's favorite movie, actually. So, which is kind of interesting. But they watch it all the time as a 7 and 4-year-old, and nothing in there seems to bump them. So I'm curious what part of that is.
Well, there's the scene with the night on Bald Mountain.
Yeah.
I love everything about Fantasia.
Yeah.
I could see some people getting a little bit some parents getting a little bit sensitive about it. Like, well, there's Night on Bald Mountain. You can argue there's topless portions in that film, like in terms of the pastoral, Beethoven's pastoral suite, I think. And then there's also really cartoony stuff, but it's more like, that edge where it's like the Greek mythology. There's also, what's the other ones?
They skirt the line a little bit around like the fairies and stuff, and there's certainly like an insinuation of them being somewhat nude, I suppose, but I don't think it's like overt in a way that, at least to me, doesn't feel it feels like art to me, as opposed to blatantly exploitive in any way.
No, I agree. I don't.
But I do think you're right. I think there would be an executive at Disney now that's like, well, what bathing suit are we putting on these nymphs?
It's like what they did with Splash, right? They copy paste on it.
Let's add some Sasquatch to this scene. Yeah, it is interesting. I think that clearly the content barometer has changed across all media. What I find more interesting, to me anyway, the place where I get a little more just kind of like, wow, they got away with that, is the stuff that feels has blatant kind of racist overtones. And there's a lot of stuff in classic Looney Tunes and all that, which I think is also great, but there's a lot of kind of insensitive depictions of all kinds of people in that stuff.
Yeah, I grew up watching the old World War II. The old World War II Disney shorts, right?
Yeah,
and
totally.
Actually, what happened was that something happened to my computer. There's a few of those shorts that I saw as a kid that my parents had tape recorded off of Nickelodeon, right? And so when you watch them, it's like, oh, it's funny, it's goofy. It's like the one with like, they're trying to change all of. It's like one of those goofy shorts where they're talking about replacing current transportation with pogo sticks.
Yeah.
It's a very innocent one, right? But then there's actually a small clip in there where Goofy is speeding in a pogo stick, and there's a cop chasing after him with a pogo stick. But they pass by a billboard, and in that billboard they're saying, "Oh, buy war bonds or something like that to fight the Jays," right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they had like the depiction on there, and I didn't see that until much later when I actually had a copy of the actual Disney Vault DVD.
Yeah,
and that was really like kind of. It's very interesting that was in there, but in the Nickelodeon version, they actually clipped that out.
Yeah,
but I still think it's kind of It's interesting to have that, and I think it's valuable to have that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like going back in retro, like trying to take all that stuff out. I do think there are places that's appropriate to add some sort of context, but I think it's part of the conversation. But I do think those are as a parent, those are the places that bump me a little bit, because I think there is some appropriate context around some of that stuff, which is like, why are we depicting particular people in these particular ways? And it's 100% a reflection of the cultural conversation at that time, but it's not necessarily the cultural conversation we want right now.
Yeah, I have a copy of Metropolis from Tezuka, because I'm torn about this, because when you open it up, it's like, oh, there's like a whole paragraph talking about his depiction of other races in the film, in the graphic novel. And I think that I think it feels like it's more of a liability issue, where it's like you don't want to bring something up that if someone reads it and gets offended or gets emotionally traumatized by it, then but because I think like it sort of annoys me to have to put it in there, I guess, because it's like it feels like someone's commenting on the work versus actually seeing the work as it's like in its entirety. And because even then, like, I feel like that person's commentary years later, what if it's inaccurate, or what cultural shifts change, and then it's like, well, does someone have to write a commentary on top of that commentary?
Yes. Well, I think fundamentally cultural attitudes do continue to shift. So it's all a good question: is how do we deal with that? And hopefully we're all dealing with that ourselves and with our families and our kids and all that stuff individually as well. But it's always going to continue to evolve for sure.
Yeah, I think it's also like a convenience issue too, because like you're a parent and you're like, oh, I'm gonna put this show on in front of my kids for 3 hours, or 2 hours. Whatever. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to. I think most people would be like, I don't want to have to pre-screen everything because they're just too tired to deal with the rest of life. But I think as a parent you have to. But it is it could be a pretty big inconvenience for a lot of people, I'm sure, who are just like, I just want them to just be busy to not bother me for an hour.
In the current that which will not be named, especially.
Yes. Yes.
Look at you guys doing so good to tiptoe around those careful words.
Well, I said the P word earlier today, so kind of ruined ad revenue.
Strike one.
You deprived your $5.50 or that you make off the video. If everybody watching or reading these days.
The Mandalorian.
You're watching the whole series again?
No, actually not currently.
You're just geeking out about it.
Yes.
I've been loving Lovecraft Country.
Oh, yeah? Is that good?
I think it's great. Yeah. It's another kind of interesting genre mashup of a bunch of different things, but I think it's pretty great.
I'm watching a fun show, English show from the 80s called Lovejoy.
I feel like I've heard of that, yeah.
It's about a kind of a Robin Hood version of an antique dealer who he's kind of shady, but he does good for people. And he has a pretty cool mullet.
Speaking of sign of the times, yeah.
But it's a really fun show.
That just made me think. I've been listening to Rob Liefeld has a podcast now. Where it's kind of amazing. Like he's talking through basically his whole history of at least his perspective on his whole history. So like the last handful of episodes have been about like positioning himself to get onto New Mutants, and then kind of the behind the scenes politics of getting X-Force off the ground. It's pretty fascinating, but talking about creating Cable as a intentionally very macho character with the initial design had him with the mullet,
Nice,
as veiny as possible, like. But pretty great if you're from that era at all. A lot of it is like, oh yeah.
What's it called? Is it just?
It's called Robservations.
Okay.
Yeah, but these last 2 episodes have been about Cable and the X Office, which has all been pretty fascinating.
he's really good at controlling his narrative.
He's very good at controlling his narrative. Yeah.
Like he's really, really good, savvy at that because
I kind of knew this, but I'm sure it's obviously all from his perspective, but I had not realized, at least according to him, how calculated so much of what he was doing so young apparently was. That like kind of the combination of him and McFarlane and Jim Lee and kind of that whole wave that became Image, that like, so it's just a little spoiler on the latest episode, but it's talking about it's like basically Jim Lee called him and said like, hey, I'm doing X-Men #1, like I got it, like this is coming out. And that was like, according to him, kind of a panic moment of like, I'm gonna get left behind. Like Todd is killing it on Spider-Man, Jim Lee's about to get X-Men. Like he was getting offered Alpha Flight, and he had Alpha Flight or the New Mutants, and apparently didn't want to do the New Mutants because he didn't feel like it was a particularly exciting book, and so he basically convinced the editor at the X office to let him he would take New Mutants if he could do it, with his own characters, and so that's where all of those characters came from. And then he basically convinced the marketing department at Marvel that the New Mutants needed an X in the title to compete with the relaunch of X-Men #1. And that's what created X-Force, is basically the guy in the marketing department getting on board with like, oh yeah, this would sell better if it had an X in the title. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Mhm.
You know how everything is kind of all the nostalgia train is right now in the 80s.
Mhm.
Like, I wonder if it is going to shift back. I mean, it will get to the 90s, but then I wonder if will they ever try to do like a more 90s style X-Men? Because I feel like that I've been craving that from the franchise through all the movies ever since the first one. Like I feel like I want the Spangly outfits.
Yes.
Yeah, if you talk to retailers, they're in the same place. They want that. I don't know. At least the retailer I go to, he says everybody's buying back issues. Nobody's buying the new stuff.
I haven't read any of the relaunch of X-Men. Has anybody been reading that? I guess not. But man, that Chris Claremont, Jim Lee run at that time was pretty fantastic.
I just think that I'm just looking for media that just is going to have fun, and I feel like with the superhero stuff, it just didn't. It was fun for the Marvels, for the MCU stuff, but I think that it's kind of bordering along that nihilistic bent again, and it's I don't know, I'm just preaching to the choir. I just think it's starting to get a little bit tiresome.
Mhm.
I don't know. I like seeing Captain America shoot up in a gas station bathroom. No, I'm sure.
I want to see a feature-length Adam West Batman.
That would be cool. I would watch that.
And then Robin has to wear the underpants. Hi. Yes.
Studio mate.
Get on the scene.
Cutest voice ever.
Oh, this is my co-host. He wants to work. He says he likes to go work in my office, which means him just coming over and dominating or just grabbing anything off my desk. And no touching the keyboard, okay? Thank you.
And
Because
our directors are
my cue to jump off. So okay. Well, I think it's yeah. All right. Well, I gotta go, guys. It's usually a time when I have to tend to family matters.
the art director is calling you away.
Yeah, he wants a meeting.
You better go attend that.
He's to review these latest pages and some
Meetings are
direction.
killing me. Apparently, he's doing some inventory work right now, going through all the supplies. So, thanks for having me. Hopefully I can try to jump on again.
See you later.
See you guys.
Have a good one.
Bye. Michael, I don't remember us actually meeting before, but this stuff looks really cool.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Tell me about this project.
This is a new graphic novel I'm working on called Alien Island, and it's like a coming of age story about a young boy who lives on this island in the Pacific Northwest, and an alien spaceship crashes, releasing all these aliens, and one of them happens to be this monster, and so he teams up with this big orange cat guy to track it down and save his island.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I like it. I like your big orange cat guy.
Yeah, originally he had these like stripes,
Yeah.
and then it just looked like a mutated Garfield. So I was like, I gotta give him spots. So, and,
Very nice.
so now probably people will see it and be like, it's Garfield. But I like it.
I see Heathcliff.
Yeah, it's Heathcliff. That's right. He was the tougher version.
He doesn't have the jowls, so I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Does love lasagna though. You can tell.
I didn't realize this until recently, but Garfield is updating daily online now. I just happened
What's
to look at
updating daily online?
Say again?
What is updating daily online?
Garfield.
Oh, Garfield. Oh,
He's still going.
yeah. Well, I know Jim Davis just like last year, I think, sold them for like several $100 million.
Really?
Really? He's
Yeah.
So he's not doing it anymore?
I think just last year he's been, I mean, it's one of those kind of ultimate success stories where he kept all the rights to Garfield and
Wow.
built it into a business where he was making like $50-60 million a year in licensing. And then I think just sold it last year because he's kind of like, not kind of getting to the end here. Let's keep this thing going. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Kind of amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've been a
Yeah.
fan. I'm a fan.
It's funny. It's like I have a ton of appreciation and respect for that, and then at the flip side of that, like ton of appreciation and respect for Bill Watterson, just going like, nope, doing my thing, and I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
And
you see
Gary
that
Larson too.
yeah.
How he was just like, I'm done. And then
Yeah.
they were like continually printing those calendars. And he's like, in an interview, he was like, it's just like I'm printing money.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep just printing money for the sake of printing money.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
however he stated it. And then he
Yeah.
stopped doing the calendars too.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw, but like this guy that does Bloom County, Burke Breathed, but he just started publishing some new comics online for the first time in like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Who?
The guy that made Bloom County, I think his name is
Really?
Breathed, I believe. Yeah.
I also heard that Gary, what's his bucket, who did Far Side.
Oh yeah, yeah. Gary, what's his bucket? That guy. Yeah.
Sorry.
Gary Larson. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I like what's his bucket though. I think you've got to use that for a character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's very talented.
Are you saying bucket, like the bucket of water, or are you saying something else?
Bucket.
Bucket of water?
Because I was like,
What did you hear?
I thought you were saying like, what's it? I was like, okay, cool.
I'm a singing sweet innocent.
That's it. Berkeley Breathed. Thank you. Blacklist Universe.
Hey, Mike, why aren't you on this?
What?
Oh, sorry. I'm talking to the Mike who at Blacklist Universe. Sorry. Sorry, everybody. I'm confusing. The last weapons I was drawing that you guys were watching is a spitball and a slingshot. You'd be horrified at the weapons I'm drawing now that my child wants me to draw.
What are they?
It's like a handgun and a knife thrower. And that's only number 2. Wait till you get, up to the higher numbers.
A knife thrower. That sounds deadly.
Yeah, it's pretty intense looking.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to jump off as well. We've got a couple of calls to get on, but I also wanted to just quickly announce that the final episodes of Remind on Macroverse start today. So we're calling season 3, the final handful of episodes start today, and will be coming out over the next few weeks. So you'll be able to read the entire series in the Macroverse format by the end of this month.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let me get a link. Let me find a link and throw it.
Here, I can.
Do you have a link, Evan?
Yeah, sure do.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
If you put it in private, I can copy it over.
Nice meeting you, Evan.
Nice to meet you. So this is the direct to Remind link. And then if you don't already have the app installed, this is the universal app link. So that'll take you to whatever app store your device is associated with.
All right. Does that look right? It has the 2 equal signs at the end?
Yep.
That's right? Okay.
Yeah, it's our own deep link structure. So it
Cool.
takes you, if you have the app, that one will take you directly to the series without
Okay.
any intermediary.
And then here's the app. Okay.
Yeah. But check it out. I really, just the fact that it was Eisner nominated, it's worth
Yeah.
taking another look. But really proud of what we've collectively done with it, and
Yeah.
it's a really cool format for it.
Yeah, it looks great. It reads beautifully too.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not complimenting myself. I'm saying how you guys did it.
It's all great source material.
It's really well drawn.
It is really
Yeah.
well drawn. Yeah, really well
Absolutely.
drawn. Well written, well drawn, well constructed. Emotional impact, characters you love.
It's the statement of this generation.
Yeah.
All right, Evan,
right, guys.
thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for the invite. Good to see you guys. Nice to
Okay.
meet you. Talk to you guys again soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
We had a question from Yusipa. Hello, Yusipa.
Question.
He's asking, where can we get notifications for the stream?
This stream?
Yeah, YouTube is no longer using email as notifications, so I think you have to make sure that you have your notifications on the YouTube. Actually, follow Jason. Make sure that you hit the bell to receive the notifications, and they'll come to you like a smartphone if you have one. Yeah, I don't know if there's.
Subscribe, hit the bell, and turn on all notifications is kind of the closest thing you can do to ensuring you get it, but it still might not come through.
I mean, and you're posting this to Twitch and Facebook, right?
Yeah, it's on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. So if you want, you could subscribe to the Twitch, and I believe they're a little bit better at emailing you when a streamer that you follow goes live. It'll actually email you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of annoyed that YouTube did away with that because I actually received a lot of notifications through email.
Yeah, I don't know why they would take that away. It's
I
weird.
don't know. Yeah, I just don't like my phone blowing up every second, so that's why I'd rather have it come to my email. But
Yeah, tell me that. I turn off all notifications on my phone. I'm like, I will come to you. You don't need to keep wrangling me back in.
yep, there's enough dings, pings, and rings these days.
Yeah, you could just be overrun by it.
Yeah.
Are you just done with your thing right now, Hunter Jones?
What's that?
You're done with it, you're,
Done with what? Live stream?
Yeah.
Oh no, we're still live. Evan just left.
Oh.
Sorry, talking to my wife.
huh? Hi.
Hi everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Ooh, can I borrow this?
Or what?
Here? Oh, so dusty. Babe, we need to vacuum.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm leaving. Hey. You quiet.
Just bomb the stream and tell me everything that I need to do.
I didn't follow up on your streams.
I like her.
You know when I bomb up in your streams. You know. That was nothing.
Oh, I got to show you guys the new cognitive drawing pages where I put
You
Shelly in.
can't show that. They can't see it before I wait.
Because like I was the host of the male cognitive drawing book.
Oh boy.
And so I was like, I need to make a girl like explaining the female book.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if you did justice
It doesn't really look like you
to the
exactly.
black woman.
They can't see this.
Nice.
All right, here, let me show you guys my screen. So that's Shelly. I swapped me out with Shelly.
That is not me, but
Well, it kind of looks like her. Just the hair.
yeah.
That's fun.
Black women don't have those eyes. They should be a little bit different.
You have more exotic eyes than
I
a
know.
lot of
Than
other
the
black women.
average person. Than the average exotic person.
The average exotic person. I don't know what's wrong with my screen. Oh.
Whoa, baby, those are looking like okay.
It's just a child's game.
For the kids.
You know, kids.
People really thought about stuff like that.
Yeah, this is supposed to be called a pisty. Okay? It's a pisty. It's not a pistol, it's a pisty.
Meaning a mini pistol.
Meaning it's cute.
That's why it's only number 2. Knife thrower, on the other hand, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Wait, what? Those are the
He drew this kind of like weird little contraption, so I just tried to make it look like it could actually work.
So you understood his intentions.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it has a screw thing, right? Like a spring.
Like, yeah,
That?
yeah, it's just, who knows? Obviously it won't work, but
You don't know. Well,
So how is this game supposed to be played? Like, what's the objective?
well, each person gets, you deal out all the cards evenly, so everybody has a handful of cards and weapon cards, and then you lay them face down in front of you, and then you have an environment card, like what track or what location are you doing this derby. It's called Diesel Derby.
Mhm.
And so then you flip over the environment card to see what environment you're in, and it'll be like a volcano or something. And so certain cars, like a fire truck, has a plus rating if you do it in a fiery environment. And so you add up your weapon and your car, and then you plus or minus whatever the environment does to your weapons and cars. And then whoever has the highest wins, but you can't go over 20 because the rule is you blow yourself up. So
it's pretty ingenious.
it's pretty simple too, and like little kids can actually play it without much
And
trouble.
learn math at the same time. Learn
Yeah, and
simple
it's-
math at the same time.
It's making them want to learn math, which is good.
So this is his science. He's gonna put it in the science fair at school.
That's cool.
I want to play it. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is really good.
You should have
So,
brought the cards
mean,
to
I'll-
show them.
I'll
Like
let you
that.
guys know when
Mhm.
Kickstarter launches because I'm gonna have a little mini Kickstarter for him. It'll be like $100
Yeah.
goal, and then the more people that back it, the more reasonable the cards cost us to make them. I think if you print one pack, it's like $20. If you print like 200, then it's like $2. Or
Mhm.
I don't know, depending on how high quality you make the cards.
Yeah.
But it's reasonable. So I want him to feel like it's his campaign, and I'll help him put it all together, obviously. But I don't know how we'll do it. I don't know if there's like
Rules on
rules with having kids
or stipulations.
running campaigns because he's only 11, so it'll have to be
He'll
a
be
team.
12 by the time.
Yeah.
He'll be 12 next month.
Still, he's still
I
young.
mean, I would think they'd really want to promote that.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
think so.
especially right now.
Oh yeah.
Except for the weapon part.
So can I use these? Can I check
Oh,
them?
sure.
Can I like take them out and verify?
Yeah.
They're okay to.
I would actually probably put them in the defective shelf just so that they're not kind of dinged up.
How's the progress in the studio coming? As far as just like them getting everything hooked up and
Still just waiting for him to actually do the last things. It's just we've been waiting on the same last thing forever, and so yeah, so no progress since last time he asked. So they said within a week, but that was over a week ago. So I don't know. It's all good.
eventually.
One day it'll be done. I still do have big plans for it that I need to do, but with YouTube stuff, because I like live streaming when I have campaigns active, but when I don't have campaigns, I really want to do this different YouTube strategy, which just requires more work, but it would be less often content.
Oh yeah, that's right. You talked about this.
Yeah, and I really want to start doing that, but I need to do the campaigns and stream and
Mm-hmm.
finish stuff up, so I haven't been able to start on it at all.
Yeah, there's always a good deal of things to get done that
Yeah.
at some point sort of things.
Yeah.
The green laser says, referring to the drawing, it doesn't have a trigger, so it probably doesn't shoot anything. I think.
Oh yeah. Well, all the weapons attached to cars, so.
Ah.
So I mean that's the idea. You have a car and then you get a weapon for your car.
Yeah.
So that's why it has those weird mounts at the bottom. It's like
Yeah.
mounted to the hood or something.
Ooh. It's a functional hood ornament. And then,
It could be like math and mayhem or math and mortality.
you need to have like a hood ornament that looks like a little jaguar and it fights.
Poisonous paperclip +1. It's cool.
Okay.
I see a question. Question for Jason from a conversation about one of his videos I had with a friend. If some writers are gardeners and some are architects, what kind of writer is Patrick Rothfuss? What is I don't know. I'm not familiar with him.
He
You
did
wrote it.
Wind.
Yeah, Name of the Wind.
I've not read it yet.
Which was he, right?
It was called The Name of the Wind. It's a really good if you like fantasy books. But he's only really there's supposed to be a trilogy, but he's only released 2, and the last one was released in like 2007, I think. So it's been a while between books, so he has a lot of fans are like upset with him.
Oh, should I start reading the book?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, if you start it, just be prepared to
No.
To wait.
not have resolution for a while.
It's a good morning.
Yeah, because it's really, really, really good. I mean, it's
Yeah, I hear it is.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wrong there.
Here, let me tell you the ending. No, I'm kidding.
I'll get there at some point.
Sorry, I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know anything about it. What would you say he is, an architect or a gardener, based on your knowledge of it, Michael?
I would go with Gardner, but that's me. Because he's definitely more character driven. But am I missing the definition of the terms? I could be. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Gardner is like the architect is the storyteller who has every nut and bolt figured out, and it's blueprinted before they start. And
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
And the gardener just like plants seeds and sees where the characters go. And
yeah. I would say Gardner personally.
yeah.
I wonder if it's for certain people you could start out as an architect and then eventually as you kind of learn to trust your writing more, drift more to become like a gardener, knowing that you have the experience of seeing how stories unfold. Because I see myself a little bit more trending toward an architect, but I really prefer to let it happen organically. But I think that might come in time with experience. So I don't know. And that
I've found
really what was that?
You say what?
I said that,
Sorry?
and I really like gardening, so I want to be a gardener writer.
Yeah. With my stuff, I think I started out more as a gardener just because I was I didn't know how to even architect a story, so it was all just kind of like, let's just go with the flow. And the more I've written, the more I think I've been architecting more of my stories because I have more of an understanding of what I want out of it. I still do like the gardening approach, but like letting the characters kind of go and do whatever happens in the moment, when you're writing the story. But most of my newer stories are a lot more planned out than like say Remind,
I will point out that a good gardener actually does plan, and you can use the word architects his or her garden so that they know what they're doing in it and then lets the rest happen organically.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And the idea with a gardener though is you know what you're planting, but you don't have any control of how it'll grow necessarily, if they'll get killed from a bug eating it, or you can water it and kind of what kind of fruit you're planting. And so in that sense, you do plan your garden, but you're still attending to it and attending to it how it grows versus just everything's just ironed out like a blueprint.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there is crossover no matter what. Like, I don't think anyone's a true architect or a true gardener as far as writing goes.
Hmm.
There's going to be a crossover. You're somewhere on the scale between the two. I think.
I think that makes sense. Jason, how have you found dialogue in the past? Has that sort of unfolded as you go?
How have I found it? Is
Yeah,
that
like,
what you-
I mean, let me rephrase that. How have you done the dialogue for your stories? Did you script it out beforehand, or did you kind of know roughly what they're saying, and then when you're in the moment, thumbnailing?
Yeah. I might write down conversations that I think of for specific scenes, but beyond that, I don't write a lot of the conversations down until I have the artwork kind of at least roughly sketched out.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the scenes and the expressions that I draw, kind of affects the conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the most part, I don't know. I kind of write my conversations. I don't know. If you just sit there and you're at a table with people and you hear the conversations, no one's really talking correct English, and people are cutting each other off, and someone says something and it makes someone else think of something completely different, And so I kind of like to think that way with my conversations, to where it's not just like telling the story with I say this and then you say that, and then it's perfectly orchestrated conversation. But instead, it's like
It's more
kind of bouncing all over the place, but it still gets to the point of the narrative,
Yeah.
And it might not happen in one conversation. It might happen over the course of a couple,
Yeah.
Or maybe if someone finishes the thought in a different conversation that they thought about in the first conversation, And it's that, because that's how life is, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
that makes sense. Interesting.
Do you guys have a preference when it comes to story, like act 1, act 2, act 3? Like, for me, I've noticed if I watch a movie, I like movies in act 1, maybe in act 2, and then by act 3, I'm kind of bored and I leave.
I
like when it kind of meanders around and you don't know where it's
Yeah.
going. I'm more of that kind of.
Well, I think that's the fault. The boredom is the fault of the movie, just kind of like not keeping your interest. I don't think that's the act problem. I think that if the acts are done well, then it should hold your interest, because you should be pulling for the character even more, because now suddenly the odds are greater. And
Well, I think part of it is that as soon as I get a whiff that I feel that everything is going to be run through a shoot and then finalized kind of in a way that I can anticipate, then that's I think where I kind of like. That's probably why I prefer books, because you can take a lot more time with the characters and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if a story is just following an act structure and you just kind of can see the formula already.
Yeah.
It's like, yawn.
And I think it depends on how, the characters in the script, because pretty much everything follows a formula, but what makes it interesting is how those characters are going to respond. And I think I tend to get bored when I see a movie where you already know the character.
Yeah.
Nothing is a surprise. Nothing is interesting or exciting. You know how that character is going to react. You can predict it.
Yeah.
And it's not, and it's very laid out. Like, he says this, she says that. It's not like the organic quality that Jason was just mentioning.
Yeah. Again, I think it's all the fault of just following formulas and lousy storytelling, not really having anything interesting and unique. It's just like, I need to get this story done because I've been hired to do it.
Worked in the past.
Let's let's follow the hero's journey, and I love the hero's journey, but
Mhm.
I like applying that kind of stuff in retrospect instead of I don't like starting with the hero's journey and saying, how do I do this? Instead, I like stringing together interesting events and ideas. And then I look at the hero's journey if I get stuck, possibly, but usually I don't. Usually it kind of lines up, but in its own weird organic way,
Mhm.
but it's not intentional. Because like in the hero's journey, you have the mentor. What's the mentor really? It doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't have to be an old man with a beard saying, "Let me mentor you."
Mhm.
It could be a wall. It could be anything. So how do you it could just go all. It could be all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want someone to make a mentor that's a wall. Now that I said that.
That's getting serious. That's a serious knife thrower right there.
It is. I don't know why I'm spending so much time on this. It's weird.
Because there's going to be some kid that's going to love that design and all the mechanics that goes into it
Yeah.
and the believability of it.
I drew all the cars on my iPad in that program.
Didn't he do some on there too?
He sketched a lot of Procreate, and so that was a good experience for me to actually use Procreate to do a lot of the art. But I feel like it kind of takes me longer because I'm still not fully used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would like work on one of them a night or something like that, and so I'm like, I just need to like whip these things out. So that's why I brought it into Photoshop and I'm doing it on my computer.
John has a question about Remind.
Okay. Let's see. Bling. John Smith. Do you have any plans for a sequel of Remind? I have an idea that I've had ever since finishing it that I've thought about doing if I ever do want to, but it's a direct continuation of where it left off, because I do have ideas, but the thing is, it's just I was thinking of doing it as just one more chapter, but then the problem when I showed the idea to a writer friend of mine, they were like, it just doesn't answer any questions and it opens up a whole pile of new questions. And so I feel like if I were to actually do it, I would need to just make a new volume, but I don't have any desire to make a new volume at this point because I have too many other, I have like, after Phobos, I have 2 other stories that I've been working on and off forever that I would like to get to. And once I'm done with those, I feel like, okay, I'm done with all the stories in my brain. So maybe after that, I might want to dive back into it if there's a demand for it, if people want it. Yeah. And also, next year, well, I've talked about doing it this year in 2020, like doing an anniversary edition of Remind, but it would have been an anniversary of the webcomic. But 2021 would be the anniversary of the actual book printing, because it came out in 2011. And so I am thinking of, at one point I was thinking of adding a chapter to that, but again, I think it would just cause too many new questions to surface. So, what's that? How do you get on where?
On Shopify to be the admin part. You haven't showed me that yet.
Yeah, I'll have to give you the password.
Well, but it's not just going to Positive Drawing dash whatever Shopify, it's some other website. I mean, some other thing, like, what else do I need to put after that? I just close the site, there's no way to log in from.
Let me help you. Let me put you guys on mute.
Can you hear those people in the background?
Just
I don't know how good my mic is. So I'm like, is it just everybody can hear everything going on?
well, I could hear some chatter, but I didn't know if that was in Jason's back, him and Jason, or him and Shelly talking.
Yeah, because I never could tell. So I'm like,
It was not distracting.
well, that's good.
I'm good. Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Because I think if you turn the gain down, right, it won't pick up so many people.
Yeah, I can't tell. Mm-mm. Okay, next panel.
Hello, mythical beast. I'm doing good. As I stare seriously into the camera.
He's answering you, just you. We have a question from JK.
Oh, there is a question.
Yes, most recent.
JK says, how do you guys work on your comics for 68 hours every day? I get exhausted at about 3 to 4 hour mark. Do you guys do any exercises? I think I get exhausted about the 3 or 4 hour mark
Yeah.
as well. But the thing is, there's so many different hats that you have to wear doing this stuff. You know, I'm not sitting there drawing all day long, actually.
Mhm.
So that keeps it different. It's not always exciting, but it keeps me from just sitting there staring at my screen.
I mean, I forgot who said it, but I think it was an artist talking about working in 1.5 hour chunks. Sometimes, I mean, it depends on different people for productivity. That way you feel like you have a finite amount of time that you have to get something done in, and then you take a break and sort of refresh.
Yeah.
I say it as if I'm a pro at it, and I'm very much not, but that's the goal.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that. I'll give myself like, I need to finish this page today, and then I'll just, however I manage that time, as long as that page gets done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do exercise because that would, I'd keel over if I didn't.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard. It's better to have a goal of what needs to get done as your metric rather than how many hours you got to work, because you can do a lot of nothing in many hours.
Yeah.
And I think it just takes, the more you do something, the better you get at understanding how long it realistically does take you to do something.
That's a good word too. Like what you said is realistic. I think that's the key too, is if you do a comic, especially, it's like, what can I realistically do and accomplish if I ever want to see the light of day on my thing? And it's, so you have to let a lot of things go, you know?
Or make some sacrifices.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm finding myself right now, is realizing that certain aspects will need to be significantly sped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing really well at one point. I mean, what I've been working on has involved a pretty good level of exploratory work in the learning curve. Now that I understand more of what's involved in each stage, I know that it won't take as long, and it has gotten faster. But I find I've been the most productive when I've actually written out, like put on my calendar, like today's this page, tomorrow is that page. That way it's out there. It's not just in my head where I can easily push it aside. And now I've learned again more. It's realistically thinking like, oh, I could get 2 pages done in one day. It's like, no, I'm going to get a quarter of that page done. So it feels really frustrating to just say that I'm only going to get a quarter done. But when I actually get that done, rather than setting too high of a goal for myself, I feel a lot more empowered and accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, a few years ago, I started using this app called Todoist. I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
Todist. I think that's the name of it. But that's where I'll capture like the entire book, and I'll get an end date, and I'll be able to check off the pages. It's really, really cool. So
What's it called?
It's called, I even use it for work. Todoist. Todoist.
Oh, Todo.
And I like it because it's so simple. Like you can capture and you put all your projects in there. You
Okay.
can break it. You can break it down. It's super cool. For me, I mean, it might not be for everybody, but
I will look into that. Those when you find a good an app or a tool that helps you, it really does
yeah.
everything a lot more seamless or streamlined.
It can remind, like it'll pop up in my phone, like, you know, you haven't done this, and I'm like, oh, I did do it. Check it off, and it just keeps you. And then it gives you rewards, like if you check off, like it's like you're a production master or whatever. But
Do you find that you work better even with a small incentive of that physically, like checking something off, whether it be on your phone or striking through it?
yeah, it's a combination of that and just it's captured, so I have intent. You know, it's not
Yeah.
that, because if you just leave it to like whenever, then I know myself, I'll be, you know, you can procrastinate or I don't really feel like it, and it's just kind of,
Yeah.
no, it's in there, and you know, it's and you planned it.
I haven't been doing it lately. This might just destroy the argument I'm about to make, but I was learning French for a little while. I just needed to take a break because I was working on a ton of things, but it was nice just to have that reminder on the phone. And they also had like streaks and things you could do too. So I think what destroyed it for me though is you can have a streak of like how many days you practice in a row, but there was also like a little store where you're like, you could use, because you like earn gems, that's kind of this reward you get, but then you could use these gems to buy a streak freeze, and I'm like, that's cheating, and I have like thousands of gems, so all I could do is just buy these streak freezes and say that I still have this streak even though I didn't practice for the last 2 weeks. So I don't know, it was like I know I cheated.
That's kind of. Do you want to learn a language and be shady doing it? Here you go. Here's our streak.
For yourself. I think if I do it again next time, I'm gonna be like, I'm not using the cheat. Like, I practice or I don't. If I get too busy, then I don't practice.
Yeah,
My streak.
it's like an
I'm
incentive.
putting it off.
That's funny. That's kind of like a negative incentive almost.
It just kind of felt so. Anyways, I will start it back up, but I realize that I can't utilize that because otherwise I kind of feel like what's the point of trying to play the game if you know you can just cheat at it by using that. Go figure.
You get found out.
Yeah.
So you used your cheat days, huh?
I'm learning another language. Could we break?
Yeah, learning another language and drawing comics, that's a tall task. That's a lot of work.
Well, I mean, very slowly. So, but so that's actually something I wanted to ask others while they were here, and I forgot. The French comics market is pretty big, and I've wondered if anyone has ever really thought about trying to promote to it, promote their comics and their work. Jason, I'm sorry to interrupt. You had an app or someone you were working with. It was a French app, kind of like Webtoons.
Yeah.
Were you still pursuing that option?
Yeah, it's called Mushroom Editions.
Mushroom. Did they contact you?
Huh?
Did they contact you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and
Oh, Mushroom.
Much, M-U-C-H. Yeah,
Much. That's right. It's a play off of Mushroom. Editions?
Editions. Yeah, Mushroom Editions, and they slowed down a little bit with their launch plans because of the thing that should not be named, and then they contacted me maybe a month ago and said, all right, we're going again, or whatever.
Mhm.
So I'm just kind of waiting for them to actually launch and see what happens. But I think there's I'm excited about it. It seems it has a potential to be a good platform.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
I didn't realize that they hadn't launched yet. I thought they were already had. So, but it's based out of France, right?
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it honestly, but
Okay.
yeah, it's marketing. Everything's on that app is French, and
Okay.
it's just marketing to French as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a big audience of comic people over there, so that's why it seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how popular is that app going to be over there. It's kind of the question.
Hmm. I don't know how else to get. I was just thinking about it the other day, being like, kind of a neat audience to tap into, but I wouldn't really even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Maybe that's incentive to keep practicing French.
Yeah.
You never know. Hmm.
Oh my goodness, it's 2 o'clock. I didn't realize that. It's after 2 o'clock. All right.
Plugging away.
I need to eat, is what happens. Well, that's as far as I got on those.
Nice.
And then there's,
Those are cool.
That's so great. I would totally use a spitball one for my car.
yeah.
That's
All righty. Well, I'm going to log off so I can go grab some lunch.
Nice.
But thanks for hanging out with me, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All righty. And we will see you next time.
Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
everybody in the chat for hanging out and asking questions as well. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Bye.